Have you ever wondered if letting someone die is the same as killing them? So it's very difficult to answer a question like that. So it's best to start off with a thought experiment and see what you naturally think about it. This thought experiment is loosely based off of an example given by philosopher Judith Jarvis Thomson. So think of this scenario. Let's say this is your apartment and it's a garden unit, which means that the world is out here. Here's a tree, and here's your window. And let's say this is you right now, just watching some TV. As you're watching TV, you hear some commotion outside. When you look, you see a person who's running. And they're running so fast and they fall in to your garden unit. This has happened before. So you took extra precautions and you even put some extra nets of some sort on your window to prevent this from happening again, but it did. So now this person has fallen into your unit as you're just minding your business and watching your TV. Let's start with this question. Do they have a right to be in your apartment? So most people would say, no, they have no right to my apartment. It's my apartment. I don't know who they are. They fell in here. When you ask them to leave your apartment, this is what they say. They say that the reason they fell in here is because they were being chased by an axe murderer. And this axe murderer was ready to kill them. And the only reason that they didn't die is because they fell into your unit. So let's suppose that this person who fell into your unit has told you, you have to let me stay here. If you make me leave, I am going to die. They have no right to your apartment, but people have the right to life. Most people would just accept that premise that people have a right to live. And you force him to leave, knowing that the axe murderer is out there. They leave, they go outside, and they get killed. Did you kill them? Or did you just let them die? Or is that the same thing? Because think about it. All you were doing was minding your business in your apartment and watching TV. You weren't the axe murderer. You didn't do anything, right? So it turned into a moral dilemma when they said that if you force them to leave, that they will die. But we also said they had no right to be there. Letting this person stay in your apartment would be nice of you, but you are not morally obligated to let them stay. Or are you? And the other question then is, when they inevitably die, did you kill them? Or did you just let them die? And is there any significant difference there? The point of this thought experiment was supposed to be maybe some kind of analogy to abortion. So let's say the apartment symbolized your body, and let's say the person who fell into your apartment symbolized a baby, a fetus, an embryo, and they fell in somehow, even though you took measures. Remember, we said you put extra screens up to prevent this happening. We said that this person didn't have a right to your body. They didn't have a right to be in your apartment. But we know that if we kick them out of the apartment, that they would die. So what Judith Jarvis Thomson might say here is that, yes, the fetus had a right to life, but they didn't have a right to your body. So you were not under a moral obligation to let it use your body, just like you weren't under a moral obligation to let the person who fell in your apartment stay in there, although it would be nice of you. You might say that the analogies aren't good to begin with, but the basic questions are there in some sense. Whether we have a right to live, whether we have a right to other people's property or body or apartment, however you want to put it, and if expelling the person who did not have a right to your property is the same as killing them or letting them die. But perhaps there is no difference in those two. Perhaps it's simply logical that if you knew the person was going to die by virtue of having them leave your apartment, you contributed. But some people might say, no, I didn't do anything. I'm just sitting and watching TV. They shouldn't have been here to begin with. Maybe it wasn't nice of you, but was it your ethical, moral duty to let them stay?